Well, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening for anyone out there watching us in our Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood. Thank you so much. We're very excited to bring to you this very exclusive webinar. It is not being streamed anywhere else, only here in our Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood. So if you're watching, please post a comment. This may be a little slow in coming in, but post a comment. Tell us where you are visiting from, where you are hanging out here in our neighborhood, for what location out there in the world, in the States. We'd love to be able to, of course, come back and send you shout out to those comments. We are, of course, over here monitoring. So this is not being streamed anywhere else as we normally do on Facebook, LinkedIn. This is all just exclusive for our members. Why? Because we're calling all change makers. If you are a change maker or you simply love to advocate and help others, then this is a great opportunity for you to listen up. Join our Military Spouse Circle of Influence, MSCI, by Blue Star Careers, empowered by Target. This is a great opportunity that is going to allow you to understand more where research fuels real impact. We're excited to launch a powerful new group of advocates and influencers, military spouses ready to drive meaningful change in their communities. Are you the one? I know I'm certainly trying to be one here in my local community. Not necessarily as a military spouse, but as a change maker that is going to influence and empower. But today we have a couple of great supporters who are going to spend a discussion of advocacy, how it works, and of course, what we can do as individuals who want to make change and get involved. So Emily Becher, our Senior Director of Research and Evaluation, is here. She is recently joined Blue Star family. She is really our boss lady of our Blue Star Families research team, but also our powerful lifestyle survey that really creates a lot of change. So she's going to share how insightful data can help drive military spouse empowerment, but also advocate a little more effectively. I also am joined by Carolyn Trager Kliman, a military spouse and professor of practice at the Mary Lou Fulton College for Teaching and Learning Innovation from Arizona State University. We're very excited because Carolyn is going to share with us great information, opportunities for members to expand their leadership in a very intentional way, personal development and skills that they need as they seek to step up and lead in the local community. So without further ado, let's get started. Please, again, if you are watching us, you are only getting this exclusive in the neighborhood. So tell us where you're watching. Tell us a little bit more about powerful stories about change making, your specific experience, advocacy, but also tell us a little bit more how would you like to influence others to create real change. So let's begin. Well, hello. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting. I see that we do have a few members who are watching and supporting, making some comments. Please bear with us as we are streaming this live only and very exclusive in the neighborhood. And so some of the comments are not necessarily popping up into our system. But Regina, thank you so much. Thank you, Amy, already for showing up and being ready to participate. We have Emily, we have Carolyn, we have our MSCI team behind the scenes. Well, actually, no, we don't, because that will be you, the male spouse, the change maker that we are so honored to be able to help and lead and help you and support you so that we can create the next group of visionaries who can help us advocate more for our community, our members. So Carolyn, Emily, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for donating a little bit great time of your busy schedule. I'm going to begin with you, Emily. If you can please introduce yourselves, describe your military connection, and then maybe briefly share a little bit about your career trajectory.
Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here. My name is Emily Becher, and as Laura shared, I am the new Senior Director of Research and Evaluation at Blue Star Families. This is my 5th week. So week 5. So don't ask me too many hard questions. Prior to this, I worked at the Minnesota Department of Health, where I led in a research and evaluation team for the Office of Statewide Health Improvement Initiatives. And that was focused really on understanding why do some communities have better health than others, and how can we change some of the factors that surround people to increase their access to health, because all of us deserve that, right? And then prior to that, I was at the University of Minnesota Extension, where I worked in the Center for Family Development, leading a research and evaluation team over there, where we did a lot of work with families around health and nutrition and family resiliency. And one of those areas was military families. And I'll just say, for my connection to military families, it's been so I have military service in my family, of course, but really my passion emerged during my master's degree, where I started looking at the intersection between intimate partner violence and post-traumatic stress disorder in veteran communities. And actually, I was a couple and family therapist for a really long time. And I did a lot of research around just how our military families are uniquely impacted by trauma, and then how that can impact their family system. And it really, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I have the privilege of being able to have access to the data that we get from the military families via our military family lifestyle survey, other research projects on military spouse employment, and through my career, when I have been exposed to the experiences of military families and just the strengths and resiliencies, but also the hardships that our military families experience on our behalf, it gets me angry and upset, and I probably tear up at least 14 to 15 times a day when I'm reading data from military families. And so it gets me excited, it gets me passionate. I want to be a change agent, improving the outcomes and experiences for military families, because I deeply appreciate their service and sacrifice. So that's me, that's why I'm here, and I will pass it back to you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Emily, and we definitely will look forward to a little bit more to get to know you about more of your research and studies. But right now, I want to give time for Caroline to please make an introduction of yourself, your military connection, and then, of course, anything you want to share about your great work that you do currently.
Great. Well, thank you, Laura, and thank you for sharing more about yourself, Emily. It's great to be here with you all today. To my military connection, I actually am a military spouse. I've been one for the past decade, and so just huge appreciation for, respect for this entire community. And also huge thanks to Blue Star families for all that you do to support us each and every day. What brought me to this moment in time? Well, I've spent 20 years in education, in youth serving organizations, in community-based organizations. And I've had the opportunity to work at multiple levels across my career. Started out working in schools, then with districts and states, spent a short time with the federal government. And I came with it to ASU for one very specific reason, which is it is a place that is focused on access and excellence for all. And it has a keen eye in every single thing that it does for how the university can support the communities with which it is privileged to partner and the communities it seeks to serve. So I'm so grateful to be here with you all today and look forward to the dialogue ahead. Thank you, Laura. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you again for those of you who are watching. I want to send a shout out to Dell, who's watching us all the way in Atlanta. Thank you so much for revealing your attendance. And we're here today because, we've been thinking about this. How can we do more? How can we support? How can we reach more members? Both of us, three of us, all four of us, six of us who are here probably watching or more, have a really intense passion for advocating and supporting other members. Now, before I move into that little bit more of that discussion, I do want to put perhaps Emily a little bit more on the spot and ask her. We have this this sort of a unique way of asking our members or asking our attendees, life-changing moments. what was it that led you to have that aha moment and join our research team? Um, what was this such a good fit? And this also is driven the question, maybe perhaps some of my members who are looking for a career, a purpose, and they're not sure where to end up. What is it that triggered you to say, I want to be involved in research and this is my jam? Like me, I'm work first careers. I'm a career geek, job descriptions, reading all the way. What was it about research that triggered you or your enthusiasm for this career?
Yeah, that's a really excellent question. And I often will work with sort of early career professionals and students. And I think everyone's always wondering, sort of like, how do I make a plan to get to where you're going? And I will be very, very honest. I am a horrible future planner. I am just taking every day as it comes. And I feel so many times that I just kind of make gut decisions and then sort of fall happily backwards. And so I just want to be really, really like transparent about that, because I think sometimes people get nervous, like, I don't have a 10-year plan. Neither do I, right? Like, so I think what I tend to make decisions around in how I sort of figured this out, and this is the place for me, is I think about my principles, right? What are the things that really light me up, and what do I really want to spend my time doing? And for me, a big thing that I realized really early on is I wanted to spend my time with my profession doing something that would reduce suffering in the world. I looked around the world and I thought, oh gosh, there's so much pain out there, right? If I am so privileged to have the blessings that I do, is there anything that I could do that could be a meaningful part of reducing suffering? That for me was like a first thing. And then so initially I was like, I love people. I love talking to people. I love psychology. I care about people and their stories. So for me, that's why therapy became like a first sort of instinct. I was like, oh, I'll be a therapist, right? Well, I realized really quickly, though, that when I looked around at a lot of behavioral health conditions and the things that people were struggling with, I thought, yes, of course, there's a place for individual therapy. That's very, very important. But so many of the things that I saw surrounding people that were really making them hurt had to do with things that were systemic to them, that were things that were surrounding them, that were things in their couple relationship, their family relationship, community pressures, struggling economically, lack of access to jobs. I mean, you put all of these pressures on someone and they show up in an individual therapy office, I'm really struggling. Well, of course you're struggling. That is a normal response to a really difficult situation. And so for me, the type of therapy I was really interested in right away was something that took a systems lens. So that was couple and family therapy. And once I got into my program and I started doing therapy 8 hours a day, I go, oh man, this is not for me. I love doing it. I couldn't do it 8 hours a day. So honestly, I made a very pragmatic choice at that decision where I was like, I really want to be a part of solving some of these upstream problems, A, and B, how do I move forward in my career that I can still do clinical work, but it's not all of my life? Well, that's a PhD program, folks. And if people have ever have questions about like how to finance a master's or a PhD and ways to navigate that ecosystem, I have a lot of thoughts about that. And so please, I think Laura, you and I could connect maybe around that, because it's its own world, right? And if you know the tricks and you know how to navigate it, you can move through these systems without debt. But if you don't know, you will end up with an enormous debt burden. So basically, so that's kind of how I ended up in a PhD program. And then through that, there's just one experience led to the other. And so I could talk more about it, Laura, but I don't want to take over the whole feed. But that's kind of my answer.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for being very honest and vulnerable about your career transition, but also allowing us to know that, hey, it's okay for you to pivot back. It's okay for you to reach to where you thought it was a dream job and then suddenly be like, oh, yeah, you know what? Never mind. It's not really working out. It's okay to pivot and to align your interest or something else. So now let me put Carolyn on the spot. Carolyn, what about you? When did you have your aha moment, and how did you end up at ASU to make this very intentional move to support educators, personal development leaders? What was your aha moment for you to do this, and that you decided that this was it for you at the moment? Life-changing moment.
Yeah, so I love this question, and it is hard to choose one moment. And what I will say is that for my entire life, I have seen education as the key to opportunity, to pathways, to ways to acquire skills to affect change in one's community and beyond. And so what's happened over my career, somewhat similar to Emily's, that I started working in education in the place where I grew up because it was the first impact lever I could see. Yeah. And it was a way to understand the different ways to make an impact through education. And over time, I took a journey that I don't know if you had asked 22-year-old me or 18-year-old me, is this where you will end up? I would not have predicted this, quite frankly. And what inspired my journey from working in the classroom to community-based organizations to federal policy to community-based organizations to now Arizona State University is this ongoing effort to find ways to affect change and have an impact through the lever that seemed the most impactful at the time. And I'll also acknowledge, as a military spouse, there's a lot of balance involved in that journey. And so it was also thinking about what was going to allow me to affect change while also supporting my family in the ways it needed to be supported. And the aha moment for ASU for me actually happened nearly 20 years ago when a new president came to the university called Dr. Michael Crow, still president of the university, and talked about higher education in a completely different way, in something that was truly about providing opportunity and access for all. And so I've spent 20 years trying to get to ASU, and I'm grateful I get to be here now.
Wonderful. So thank you so much also for being very transparent, that it took you a few years to get to this role, perhaps, or maybe not the perfect way, but you definitely made it. And sharing your great career trajectory, it is very inspiring to have both of you here, of course, supporting this great initiative. And then as we pivot and we test and as we sort of brainstorm on what works best, how can our community advocate for themselves but with our support, or how can I advocate for myself with the support of the data and everything else that is out there, which is really what the intent of this military spouse circle of influence. It is an intention, a very intentional group, and a very intentional support group for all of us to get involved through volunteerism, very mild volunteerism, but backed up by education, backed up by research, so that we can go out in the community and share our stories, talk about our family stories, talk about other people, our neighbors' stories, individuals that we come across, and you can use those channels to communicate what's happening, but back it up with data. Back it up with you also getting personal development support, and then of course coordinating great meetups with all of us. And that's really what this is all about: military spouse circle of influence, that we all together can do a little bit more. So I'm going to put our researcher on the spot because she is fueled by data and backed by incredible work that has been done here in our team. But of course, bear in mind, she's just got infused in or landed this huge, massive access to so much data from previous research, previous military lifestyle survey, and everything else. But Emily, I want to ask for those that are watching, and of course, we're going to follow up and try to give it a try to join our military spouse circle of influence. How can military spouse experience, our own experience, be backed up or have the backing of the data that comes from a military lifestyle survey, so that we can enhance the ability to advocate for our community, to maybe share more? How can we take our own experience, back it up with data? What's your thought on this particular sort of a process?
I think so I think this is an excellent question. I think the first thing that I really want to put out there is just the military spouse community is such a powerful force for change. And I think many people who are on this call or who will watch it later will know this, but I just want to remind everyone that Blue Star Families was started by military spouses. And there are several other advocacy organizations that were started by military spouses. So that's a first thing is like, I think just by its nature, military spouses are these incredible agents of change that are moving and grooving in the world in some pretty incredible and some pretty big ways. And so I just want to just if anyone is like sort of feeling like, well, can I like make a difference? Can I? Yes, you can. There's many folks from your community that are highly represented and visible and are making your voices heard. So that's my first piece of information I wanted to share. And then the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit is that there's so many ways that I think military spouses use data to share their voice with the world. I mean, we have military spouses who are taking surveys like the Military Lifestyle Survey, which will be deploying in about a week on May 14th. So be on the lookout for it. Military spouses are talking to journalists. They're starting organizations. They're going to Congress. They're leading change efforts for military families across the board. And often, I think when you see that when a policy has been passed, and it let's say in the news it's sort of like, oh, this is great for military families. You know who we hear from right away to tell us if it's working or not working? Military spouses. They are the ones that tell us immediately whether or not this was a good policy change or a bad policy change, if it's working as intended or not working as intended. And organizations like Blue Star Families, again, started by military spouses, that's our job, is to listen. So we try to really pay attention when those voices are shared in real time to then bring that information right back to legislative officials to say, hey, this was a wonderful idea and it had the best of intentions. It is not playing out the way you would hope it is. And this is what we're hearing. So what are you going to do about it? What can we do about it? Let's make a change. So I think there's already so much good that's happening in this space. And then in terms of like our current military families lifestyle survey and other surveys that we've done or research projects that we've done, the voices of those who take our survey, and again, the majority of those are military spouses, have helped to drive real change. And so some specifics on that includes a 14.5% pay increase for junior enlisted members, ensuring a more stable life for them and their families. A 14.5% pay increase. That is something that, because of military spouses and military families speaking up about what they were experiencing, that's leading to real change for military families. And then we have other things that in terms of leading to an increase in the basic needs allowance, allowing more families to have access to this pivotal program that helps combat food insecurity, which again, I know everybody in this community probably already knows this, but military families are far more likely to be struggling with food insecurity than their civilian counterparts. That is so wrong. First of all, it's wrong on so many levels that any family would be struggling with food insecurity. But to think about military families as being more vulnerable to that, I mean, that's something that we need to hear about and we need to keep talking about over and over and over again, because it's just simply not okay, right? And military spouses are the ones that are helping to drive that change forward. I will pause, Laura. I could keep going, but I want to make sure that Carolyn has a chance for her part too. So I'll just pause there for right now.
That's okay. Thank you so much. That is such a great way for you to obviously present us with the data. The data is backing up our work, and this is exactly what we do every day. I mean, on my end, I know it's all about careers, unemployment. The research from our survey has definitely highlighted, the 22+% of military spouse unemployed, underemployed, those challenges that we continue to advocate and, of course, support and try to figure out what is the best approach, the best way. But we're all one almighty, just mild group. We need more voices, and that's precisely what this group is going to be. We're trying to advocate, educate you more, and fuel you with the data that needs to be done so that we can all, at a local level, national level, state level, perhaps, or just tell someone in the local installation that needs to know, that they should know, right? So, Emily, with that thought in mind, so if I'm Laura, I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm in Eastern Oregon, it's like, okay, so what could this data do for me at the local level in rural life? How can I really make an impact here?
Well, I think that I want to remind folks that I think sometimes, perception and reality can sometimes not be connected. And what I mean by that is um, that I think so. Military spouses, so military families often will say that, and it's getting. I would say that it's kind of going in a different trajectory than what we would want. In the MFLS, we're seeing that military families are feeling less supported by their broader community, by the general population, by their civilian communities, and we know that that is exactly the wrong thing. We don't want that perception to exist. Yet, when we talk to, the sort of non-military populations of Americans, they're saying no, military families are extremely important to creating a peaceful, stable world. And they have very positive associations of the service and sacrifice of military families. And so think about that. We have this difference, right? We have this perception that I don't feel this general support from my broader community, but the broader community is saying, no, 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 we want to support you. So that's one way that I think that, like, those kinds of gaps, you might think that there might be a lack of interest in terms of hiring military spouses or providing resources and benefits that are for military families. And you might be really surprised. And you might be the first one who has gone to an employer or gone to a community leader or an organization to say, hey, like, there's this disconnect happening. Maybe people don't feel welcome using that child care center, whatever it is. Military families deserve support. And I think there are a lot of non-military community members who want to give that support, but someone has to be that change agent to bridge that relationship, to make those connections, and to let the civilian community know there's a problem here, there's a gap here, and we could do something about it. Because often there's so many things that people want to do, they just don't know what to do. So that's one example that I would. The other thing I'll say is, again, while military service runs in my family, I am not a military spouse. And so every day when I see information about what our military families are experiencing, it shocks me to my core. And I think for those who are military spouses and military, they're just like, this is our life. And I think you just get used to it. It is so, I just want to remind this community, it is so heart wrenching and startling to be on the outside of it. And all I want to do is take action. You let me know. So that's the other thing, is to tell your stories. Tell the story of what you're experiencing, what you're seeing in your community. Military families I know are incredibly proud. And there's a way to tell your story that shines a light on resilience and strength and service, but also explaining this is real hard. This is really hard. And people should know about that so they can wrap you up in resources, support, and to give back to you the way that you're giving back to all of us. So I say that to say that sometimes data can shine a light in a way that those of us who aren't immersed in this data all and this lifestyle, they need to know about. The rest of the country, the rest of the community needs to know about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, and for reminding us. And hopefully, all of you who are watching and supporting or will watch the replay, Emily, Regina, Dale, thank you so much. You'll feel that sense of just tell it, just tell your story, find the data. Emily's finding it for us, and she, as she very transparent said, yeah, I'm not serving the active right now military lifestyle. That's not my thing, but I have the tools, I have the research, I have everything you need, because this is your story, your family, you're being challenged. So help us advocate, telling more, and that's what we are going to do here through Military Spouse Circle of Influence. So I want to change up a little bit more, because obviously we're going to have the data, we have all these great enthusiasm from Laura and from our community and the backup and everything else, but what if I need to know more? I've been out of the workplace for a while. I need to feel like a leader. I need to perhaps feel like I have some kind of access to personal development. Carolyn, this is where you come in, right? You are filled with so much great education and access and resources. Tell us a little bit more about ASU, and then you're going to share with us also a little bit the program. So if you want to get ready your screen, we'll go through that in just the next couple of minutes. But yeah, tell us in your perspective, what excites you about this opportunity that is relevant to create pathways for our future leaders change makers of our community.
Absolutely. So I think that, so first of all, I want to appreciate everything that you shared, Emily, and the true power of data combined with lived experience. And one of the things that I think is important for each of us as we chart our unique path toward impact is acknowledging that every path is different and everyone deserves the opportunity to chart their own course toward impact. And so along those lines, one of the things that we have been very intentional about within ASU and within the Mary Lou Fulton College, of which I'm a part, is we've been really intentional about ensuring that we judge our success by not only who's included in those pathways to education, to employment and beyond, but also how they succeed. And so as we think about that from the perspective of a College of Education, we also acknowledge that learning happens everywhere and at all different life stages. And Laura, to your point about the fact that some people maybe have been out of the workforce for a while and are now coming back in, looking for ways to acquire skills that will help them get to that next high impact role. That's exactly what we are designed for at ASU. And today I'm going to briefly talk about two different opportunities. One is the Educational Studies Bachelor of Arts in Education, which is for those who want to pursue a bachelor's degree. The other is our Community Educators Learning Hub, which is for those change makers who maybe want to acquire a concrete set of skills to affect change in one area and want to do so in a relatively short period of time. So just very briefly, what we are doing through the Educational Studies program is collaborating with learners to customize their own pathway to a bachelor's degree. And it's for learners who want to affect change in all different ways. Perhaps they want to work in a nonprofit or a community-based organization or a civic organization or even a business. And we work with the learner to figure out the right path for them, given their goals, including accepting a large number of transfer credits, because we acknowledge that that's important, in particular for military spouses in the broader military affiliated community. Through this bachelor's, learners have the opportunity to learn concrete skills that they can apply in their change-making efforts. Things like leadership, collaboration, and partnership development, designing learning environments, and creatively identifying innovations to address challenges that you see in your community. Learners also have a chance to select from a suite of specializations that align with their personal interest and their hopes for impact in the world. And all of the coursework is designed to build the skills that learners identify they want as they chart their unique path toward impact. And some of that work can even happen while doing work in your community, if you are currently working at your place of employment. And it enables you to build those additional skills to complement the strength acquired through your lived experiences to affect change in the way you wish to in your community and beyond. And we see that alumni go on to affect change through all different vehicles, from the nonprofit sector to community-based organizations to civic organizations, and even in corporate training and development. And so for those looking for a degree pathway, that is a great option. We recognize that not everyone wants to pursue a full degree. And so that's why we have our Community Educator Learning Hub, which has 200 different courses where you can dive into content that's of interest to you and will help you build critical skills aligned with how you want to affect change. So it's everything from supporting mental health and wellness to supporting social emotional learning to even thinking creatively about how to use technology to accelerate learning pathways for people in your community and beyond. And we have created this special code. We'll make sure this group has access to it, where you can try out this hub for 30 days for free and let us know what you think about it. And if you have any questions along the way, if you want to have a follow-up dialogue, my email is here, and I look forward to staying connected and to being helpful as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carolyn. So, community, this is just, I mean, we have the data to back it up. I think all of us, if I speak on behalf of many of us who are here present watching or will watch the replay, have shown your name, put it into our list as we previously collected interest. You are driven to make change. Now with Carolyn's support and ASU, we have the education, the training, the purpose to really focus it on a more intentional long-term career. So I think it's a win-win. We got all the three formulas here. You have the data so that you can feel empowered and know where those areas of interest or advocacy need to be. Carolyn is going to fuel you with personal development power. Now, if you want to invest on your own and create that bachelor's that you perhaps has been sitting in there, you haven't quite figured out what you want to do, how to do it, that is very intentional, because through our communities, we'll have you advocating, supporting, and get you active to perhaps, not necessarily officially say an internship, but it can be consider an internship that would help you, test out the courses that you are celebrating, that you are getting yourself enrolled, to make sure that it's really driving the purpose that you really need to be focusing on before you go on and invest so long. But we'll keep you busy for sure by sharing with you good intentional pieces that you need to focus on based on your interest. So that will be one. Now, if you, of course, have already completed your bachelor's, you already way max your education, you just simply want to learn, then the hub, which is absolutely a no cost, is absolutely free for you to access, and the code will be definitely be shared. We'll create a member profile in under our education and resources for ASU as well, and we'll definitely make sure that everyone who signs up for MSCI will have that intentional link so that you can sign up and get get connected and start learning and start creating change, because really that's what we want to do. We want the intent is for us to also just full transparency. Our intent in here is not for us to delegate to you or say, oh, here, go do our work. Some of our paid staff, I always want to make transparent. No, it's not necessarily like that. For me particularly, is a way to involve community members and have your voice and your specific needs be heard. My challenges as a veteran military spouse transition, now living in a different area, more isolated community, perhaps are very different than what they were 10 years ago when I was active duty, my family, my kiddos, challenges with daycare, all those things were very different. But I still don't forget what those challenges were, and the fact that there's still so many families, younger families, transitioning families, caregivers who have already transitioned out, who are going through their very own unique challenges. And because of the systems or just the lack of awareness, we're not yet there where we need to go, so that all of us can feel that sense of belonging, have our voices heard, and but also create a space where the lawmakers, change makers, partners who perhaps are not quite familiar with the lifestyle need to know in order for us to advocate and know more. So that's really what this whole intent of our program is. Of this is a few spouses, selected members who really can commit and raise their voice to a couple of hours a month, or just in general invest into advocating for our community. That's all we're looking for through this military spouse circle of influence. Carolyn, I'm going to ask you a couple questions here that we also had thought about. If you are a little hesitant about perhaps re-engaging in learning and looking for things, or maybe your thoughts as a leader in the education field, what skills should we consider when unlocking emerging and wanting to become an emerging leader? Again, we always, I think, and that's very human side of all of us. We fall into imposter syndrome and why me, and I don't think I can really have a voice or I can do anything about it. What kind of training from your experience would unlock that spark, that emergent leader that I need to in order for me to go out and change the world, at least my close world?
Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate that question. And I would start by saying that you already have the assets that are needed to affect change. The question is, how do you want to enhance those assets? And so many of the skills that we seek to support at ASU, including communication, collaboration, critical thinking, innovation, leadership, these are things as a military spouse that you're already practicing every day. And so in selecting whether it's a formal educational program or a course to just get a sense of what you might want to do, think of that as ways to enhance skills that you already have. And one of the things that we do at ASU is each learner has an individualized enrollment coach that works with them to map out their education trajectory in alignment with their goals. So when you start the dialogue and start the conversation, acknowledge you already have a lot of skills. What are some concrete strategies you want to learn to build upon and enhance those skills? And so step one, Laura, I realize that you asked me to start with step one, so I will go there, which is think about, given where you are today, what do you want to do to affect change tomorrow? And what skill that you already hold would you like to enhance? And from there, you can identify the training or degree program that helps you to enhance those skills that you will already hold. So hopefully that's helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think with so many great opportunities that you just presented to us, this is a really great way to have a lot more intent to really plan out your next year of education, plus great year of community collaboration and impact, great year of being involved through our data, through our survey knowledge as well, and just really intentional driving more effective career path, but also being involved. And I think those two, it's just the magic of it. I want to be mindful of time because I know Emily has a lot of great research to go out and start practicing, start enforcing, and start collecting. I mean, I'm not sure how to put it because you have a huge week ahead of you as you get ready. So with that, I want to turn it over to you and just put you on the spot and say, as we wrap up here, Emily, is there anything that we should consider when it comes to advocating for ourselves? What would you like our call to action as we close this segment to be for our members who might listen or watch the replay?
Well, the first thing I'll say is if you speak, people will listen. Please know that. And so whatever way, whatever format you can get your voice out there, whatever to Carolyn's point, I think this is exactly true. Find the way that works for you, but speak up, share your voice. And one way you can potentially share your voice is on May 14th, the next round of the Military Family Lifestyle Survey will open. This is a Blue Star Family event that happens every year. Every year we're going to go out and we're going to ask you, what are the issues that matter to you? And these questions that we ask come from all of you. These are the areas that we hear everybody saying, I have issues with housing. I have issues with financial insecurity. I have issues with our PCS schedule. I have issues with back pay. I have issues with TRICARE. And we also ask about strengths. We also ask, what are the gifts that this lifestyle is bringing to you? What are the things you would recommend related to service for young people who are thinking about it, right? We want to make sure we're presenting a really balanced picture of what it means, and the honor and courage that all you bring to this. We want to really reflect that as well. And we want to know what are the problems so that we can then take action. And so that is what I will say is find a way to share your voice. And if you're looking for an opportunity, be on the lookout for our survey coming out on the 14th of May. It'll close June 11th. You'll have 4 weeks. Share it with everybody you know. And I want to just tell you, as a personal commitment to you from our team, we read every single piece of data. Every comment you make, every answer you select is read, not just by one person, but by many. We think about it, we talk about it, and we remember it. Your stories sit with us. And those things then turn into what is the next thing that we need to go advocate to our legislative representatives about? What is the next program that Blue Star Families needs to take an initiative on? You get us into action. But it's not, Blue Star Families is a wonderful organization, but we are not here without you, right? You are the heart. You are the voice. It is without your voice, there is no action. There is no Blue Star. So just please know that, and please know that we're here and we're listening. And if you don't want to fill out a survey, just send us an email. Talk to Laura. Like, we're here to listen. That's what I want to say. And so speak up. You will be heard.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that is true. They do read every single piece of data that comes through, questions, responses, all of that, because internally, when we ask for, do we have any data on such topic, within 2 days, we get a Google Doc with PowerPoint, powerful points, relatable things. Here it is. And you would think it would take forever. No, they know it. They know their stuff. So your voices, your comments, all of that. Every time we ask you for any of that stuff, we do analyze all of it. So thank you so much, Emily, for your support today. Carolyn, your call to action. You are here supporting us, giving us access to tremendous, intentional personal development, but also different pathways that we can create our own change, create our own career trajectory along the way with involvement and community involvement. So what will be your call to action for our community who will get to watch this, or is watching this right now, or watch the replay?
The call to action is take time to invest in yourself. You do so much every single day. Think about what you want, how you want to grow, what skills you have, what skills you want to build upon, and then reach out, because we are delighted to support you. We are delighted to support you in charting the path that makes sense for you and empowers you to affect change in your community. And just thank you for all you do every day as a military spouse.
Wonderful. Thank you. And by the way, Emily and Carolyn are both right here in the neighborhood. So feel free to mingle and message them. They're our neighbors. They are part of our community. So stay connected with them. Don't be strangers. Communicate and collaborate. And then for all of you, again, if you would like to be part of this very awesome group, serve with intention, vision, and just voice to create a movement, really, that would allow us to empower others, to advocate for others, but also educate other community members, civilians, leaders of influence in the external world that perhaps don't know anything about our lifestyle. Let them know. Please join us. This is volunteer based, but also with the great intent that supports you with the data. We're going to fill you with the data and the power juice that you need to know, and then access to personal development. And then very mild commitment. That's really all we're asking. We're asking mainly is for you to get involved, use your voice, and allow us to help and support others. My challenges are very different now than what they were 10 years ago, or what they reflect perhaps someone currently actively looking for employment. So the more we all tell our stories, the better we can advocate. So thank you very much for watching, for supporting. Thank you, team. I look forward to staying in touch and then coming back and maybe next quarter and reconnecting and say, where are we at? What moved, what didn't move, where do we still need to advocate more? Have the new group of military spouse circle of influence in change makers here so they can use their voices, and they can be the hostess and as well as the connectors of our community, so that we can continue to expand more visibility for the challenges, but also the good things that the military provides and gives us as well. So listeners, also is not all just change towards change. It's also good affirmations that there's some great things that happen in military lifestyle, and we also want to hear those as well. So thank you very much for all of your support. Have a great rest of your week, and happy May. We're just beginning. We have some giveaways. So if you read this post, you know what to do with the giveaway. So just make it happen, and we're here to support.